In this video help, I'm going to be covering the Equipment Assignment tab. We come from the Asset tab to the Equipment tab. Now what you want to do is you want to select from the Select menu over here, or do a find in order to find the equipment. You click on that particular item where you want to see the asset information. You click on the tab, and the information that you're now viewing is for the item that matches this. Now, an asset equipment is assigned for the first time. This would be blank in here, but you could see at the top what the item is from the listing here. The reason this is blank is that when you add a new asset, it has not been assigned anything yet. For example, you do not assign this to the pool. This is assigned where if you're going to move the equipment or you're going to assign it to somewhere else, then that would come out of the pool, and then you would show the asset being moved or being sent to a different location or being used by a different customer. It explains a little bit of that in here. This is a running history. So what happens is every time you assign a piece of equipment, first you would assign it, and then you put the status in here. If you're going to move that piece of equipment, you would re-enter that in again by using the drop-down, and then you would show where the item is actually being assigned. So you would repeat the same thing for the equipment that you're using here by clicking in another line. You would pick the same ID, in this case the serial number, which is this number that matches. You would click there. Then you would show it either available or one of these statuses. Now these can be changed. When I say changed, that means that you can add a different status and open a screen like this one, and then do an add, type in here the new item you're adding when the field goes blank. When you type it in and click out of that field, it will be added to this listing. Do not edit in these fields. You can click on any of these, for example, to bring up the item if you need to edit it. Now, once these are created for the first time and they're the items that you want to use as far as equipment status, do not change them. If you need to add a new one, add it. But once you start adding and start editing data for assignment, it will confuse users if you're changing this information at any time. So it's not a good idea to make changes. Just leave the existing things in there if you're going to be using them on an ongoing basis. To return to the screen we just came from, click on Equipment Services, or use the app map at the top of the screen. If you click on Equipment Services, it's going to go to the Equipment Services screen, and I'm going to go back to the Asset Management screen so you can see where it kind of swept back in there. You could have used the app map to go directly back. Now let's go back to the Equipment Assignment and continue doing what we were doing as far as setting it up. When I pick a thing in this particular area, I may see deliver or delivery or waiting parts or issued. In service is where it's actually at a location. It's on hold. So this is going to change over a period of time. Using this in conjunction with the appointments on the appointment screen on the calendar, you can either change the status on the appointment calendar, or you can come back to what is called the back end of the app and make changes here. So for example, if I had a contact call me and say they needed this asset to be moved, and it is currently returned, meaning it's in inventory or it's available, and it's showing available, I can go ahead now with the current status, which can change anytime, and now I can say we're going to go ahead and issue this item, but we're going to deliver it first. And you'll notice that the colors will change here. I could have done this from the appointment screen and say deliver this and put notes in there as to where it's delivered to and the date that it's going to be delivered. And I'm going to say that on Friday the 3rd, we're going to be sending this out at 9 a.m. and we're going to be sending it to a company, and I can pick the company. Now I only have a couple sample companies in here now, but I'm going to say it's going to Newman Inc. Okay, and I just made up that company. I'm going to say that it should be returned, and let's say that it's going to be returned in 3 months. So October, November, and it's December, and I'm going to say it's going to be returned in 61 days in this case. So I said 3 months, but I gave it 61 days. It'd be January, so I do another one. But let's say it's 60 days. It'll automatically calculate the days from the date you start, which is the issue date, to the issue return date. Once it's returned, you can put in the return time, or you can schedule a return time by adding another row that has the equipment being assigned for a return. And I'm not going to add it, but you can see down there, there is a pickup or a replacement. Say, for example, I'm going to replace it for service and bring another one to that location, or I'm going to put it back into the plant equipment, or I'm going to bring it in for service, for example, or I'm doing service on the site and then returning it. Any one of those kind of things, you have all the flexibility, and you can add your own kind of statuses if you want to add additional ones to it. As you noticed when I clicked off of that, what it did is it cycled the dates and it put the most current information for this item to the top of the list. This has now become the subordinate information. On February 14th, that was the last activity until October, where this now is being delivered to the Newman Company. Now, if you looked on the calendar and went to the appointments and you were looking to see what was available and not available, you would go over to the equipment availability, and you would see now that the forklift was issued, and now what we're going to do is we're going to change that status, and this is where we're going to say it's going to be delivered, and it's going to be sent to, or whatever, as far as whatever the information is it's going to be going to. And you can see you can also change these notes to be whatever you want them to be. It can be a client carryout, consumable item, customer pickup, customer return, delivered to a site, deposit required if this thing needs a deposit put on it. If it's going to be invoiced for a reason, you will want to put invoice on it. There could be a miscellaneous thing on there as far as a piece of equipment that goes to this equipment going somewhere. And you can put in a pay on delivery or a pay on return, whatever, or a quote, or a reservation where somebody's reserving it, or a reservation request. There can be a pending version or a request. So you can still change these to whatever you want them to be for that particular equipment. And as before, this will show up in the calendar under the appointment screen for this serial numbered item is now in a delivery status where it's going out to be delivered. The other ones you can see are all at the plant or available. Now, if they are available, you would change the status to available on all of these instead of plant equipment, so that people would know in the calendar that the items are available. If they stay in the plant and they're not going to be used, for example, they're plant account equipment that are fixed assets, then they would always stay in as plant account equipment, and they're now office equipment. Now, this particular one up here is kind of interesting. I created an asset record that says for the equipment name for one, deposit on, and another one for late return. These are items that can be used in an invoice. When you're doing an invoice, that you can actually add these in as an invoice item or as a status on an invoice. There's also an additional thing when I get back to billing where I can show you that you can create different types of things as far as information on an invoice, but we'll get there later. The equipment transport, this is done in the equipment asset record as far as the service record, where when you're moving this piece of equipment, there's a tagged field that allows you to say what size of a vehicle is needed to move this particular piece of equipment. It might be a 2-ton flatbed, it could be a 5-ton or a 12-ton or a 20-ton or a huge flatbed truck. But that would be the default that comes out of the service record, where this item, if it's going to be moved, needs to be moved with a certain type of a piece of like this one. You'll see here's an engine stand that can be used in a pickup truck to deliver. Here's a tractor that's case tractor. Now, I doubt very much if a 2-ton flatbed is going to handle the case tractor, but that's 4,000 pounds. The case tractor might weigh as much as, who knows, 6 tons. So you might have another one, but that should be changed within the equipment service record, which we'll get to later on. This was currently in the equipment pool, but it can be changed. Like I said before, you can change where it's going to be in the asset record as far as whether or not this is going to be something that's going to be a service item or an item that can be used in a custody type of thing where you're going to deliver it to another company or equipment company. The issue type, this is something that is also set in the equipment service record, where it can be something that's issued on from the plant on a plant basis, on either per day, per week, per month, per year, and you also have the ability in the service record to set that periodic thing, and it can be changed on an ongoing basis if you want to change the status of the way that this particular item is used. But at least when you're looking at the records in the calendar appointment record, you will get all the current information, including the notes that tell you about how that item is being treated. And you can affect the change in the notes and also the delivery status or list status as far as the item is concerned. If you have any questions about how this screen is used, or additional questions that relate to the asset assignments, you can go ahead and contact me through the OnTarget Solutions at .biz. Now, there are additional icons that are used on this screen. You can use the app map to go to these, or these are what I call hot buttons. If you want to go to the equipment ad portal, the equipment listing, or the equipment assignment report, you could directly go from these by clicking on these. And if you want to go back to the calendar itself, you can click on the calendar button and that'll take you to the main calendar. This particular video you're watching right now is actually watched by clicking on this icon. The next video will cover the UDF, which is this tab here. I would like you to go there next. Thank you.